It can be so frustrating for a woman to meet a guy, to feel like, I like this guy. Things are going well. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction. They're telling me these men are intimidated. They cannot handle a strong woman. They're all just running for the hills and don't know what they want. She's not what I thought. And I no longer see a future with her. I no longer desire anything more serious. Now, the unfortunate reality at that point for a lot of let's break this down. So the simple, easy answer to give right off the bat is he was not really into you like that. But of course, this needs further explanation, all right? So again, let's repaint the picture. You meet a man, you're starting to get to know him. You like this man. You see like there's potential here, all right? And he's showing you interest. He's actually seeming like he's making some level of an effort, all right? And everything seems to be moving in a good direction. And initially, you may have been cautious, because you're trying to feel him out. You're trying to make sure you can trust being vulnerable with him and opening up or expressing your interest and desire. But at some point, you decide, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm ready to do that now. You take that step, and now things change. And now he starts to act funny. He starts to pull away, and it becomes a very confusing, hurtful situation. And so again, I say to you, in the vast majority of cases, all right, because there's multiple explanations here. But the first one is he wasn't that interested. And what I mean by that is this. Some men are coming into your life, and what they desire is to entertain you at a more casual level. Whether it be for sex, whether it be just to hang out, whatever. Usually it does involve some level of sex, but there are scenarios where he really just wants the woman in his life, even if he's not trying to be sexual right now. But either way, he wants you at this more casual level, not a committed level. And so what happens is when you are holding back, it allows the situation to continue in a casual, vague manner, all right? There is no intention being given. There is no, okay, we're going to be together in a few months. None of that. There is no higher level of commitment or obligation. And he's comfortable in that space with you. But then once you show interest, express a desire for more in the relationship, he pulls away because it's like, this is not what I was trying to sign up for. He liked you at the casual level. He liked you when you held back because that allowed him to continue on being vague. But once you now start to become intentional, that demands him to be intentional. That demands him to be more clear with his feelings for you. And because he's not trying to operate at that level with you, no fault of your own, so don't internalize it. But because he's not trying to go there, he now pulls away. Now, the reason why this is important for you to understand this whole dynamic is because what I'm seeing with a lot of women is they experience this dynamic of showing interest, him losing interest. And now they start to think, or you have started to think, that the showing of the interest is the problem. That if you like a man, you need to hold back or else he will run. And what you don't realize is, no, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot because, again, think about what I just said. When you expressed your interest, you exposed the reality that he was not trying to be serious with you. So if you now take on this mindset of, I'm going to hold back because showing interest backfires on me, you won't be able to expose future men. You won't be able to expose them soon enough. You will allow these other men to now think they can continue to operate in this casual dynamic and that you're actually okay with it because you're holding back your true feelings and desires. What you have to learn is no, don't let yourself think your expression of interest is the problem. Realize it was you were dealing with the wrong man. Because the right man is going to love your expression of interest. The right man is trying to figure out if you like him as much as he likes you. So he welcomes your desire. He welcomes your expression. He does not run from that. Running is a clear sign that that man was not serious. So use that to your advantage. Do not shoot yourself in the foot and now say, I'm going to hold this back. That's only going to work against you. Now, here's another possible scenario. I don't believe this is the common scenario, but it is possible. Some situations are this man likes you. He may be thinking about you in a future sense and trying to make something happen, but he may have damage from his past that causes him to be afraid to be truly vulnerable. And so now when you express your interest and desire, it's like stuff just got real. It's like, holy crap, now I have to put my heart out there in a way that scares me. And because that scares me, I'm going to run. I'm going to pull back because I am not ready for that level of vulnerability and essentially commitment. All right. Now, again, the result of what you should do is still the same. Because whether he is not ready because he just wasn't serious and doesn't see you that way, or whether he's not ready because he hasn't healed, the same answer is he's not ready. And so regardless, that needs to be exposed as soon as possible. Now, that doesn't mean for you to be like all extra and just like force your expression of interest. I want you to be natural with it, but I don't want you to be afraid or hold it back because again, that's only working against you. So there are there are some situations that the man has a fear of vulnerability, a fear of that higher level of commitment and obligation. And so when you now take that step in your expression, he runs from that. But let's get back to him not being the guy. So again, this extends to not just showing interest. This extends to you being open, honest, and transparent about your feelings in various ways. All right. This also extends to you being willing to ask questions. So many women are afraid of asking questions or bringing certain topics up because the mindset is this will scare away the man. And my argument is always, it's not the question or the expression of interest. It may be the energy behind it. And what I mean by that is, starting with the question part, if you're asking a man questions in a very interrogating way, in a very domineering way, there's a lot of negative energy. You're essentially attacking him with your energy. That's what turns a man off. But if you speak to him lovingly, sweet, in a calm, positive manner, and again, the caveat is he's serious about you, he does see potential here, then he's not going to have a problem with that. Men who genuinely want a relationship with you don't take issue with you asking questions in a loving and calm manner, because the man who loves you wants to provide you with clarity and peace. The man who's not serious about you has no issue giving you confusion and chaos. Plain and simple. So again, you cannot be afraid to ask the questions, but you also cannot be afraid to express your desire. Because again, I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with men who are trying to court a woman, trying to date her, but they're not sure where she stands. They're not sure how she feels. And I think women don't realize how many men have been played. How many men have tried to do their best for a woman they were serious about, only to be left high and dry later. And in the process of that, they weren't really sure where she stood. But because men are being told, you got to keep doing your best, even when she wants to hold back, they get set up for disaster. They get set up to be played. And for some men who have been through that trauma, they now become fearful. They now are sensitive or less tolerant of the woman who's not reciprocating interest, who is not expressing herself in the way that he is willing, or even when he's not, he still feels like, well, dang, if she's serious about me, why can't she show me that? Why can't she express that? Because there are some other women who will. And so when other women will and you won't, it causes him to think, well, maybe it's because she's not serious, or maybe because she's going to play me like the other women. Now, if you're a man listening to this, I'm going to encourage you to get healing. I'm going to encourage you to not project that onto any woman. The same way I would encourage a woman not to project the negative outcome of when the last time you expressed interest and he left you high and dry. Don't project that onto the new man. Everyone needs to heal and not bring that emotional baggage from previous experiences into a new one. However, As a woman, you still need to be mindful of this on your end and understand that you are best set up for success by being willing to express and show your interest. So interestingly enough, there's a book, and I always forget the title of the book. I am so sorry, all right? It's not one of mine. I read other books too. But anyways, the book essentially did surveys of couples after they got married. So basically after getting their license, leaving the office, and they would survey these couples and ask the guys all kinds of questions. But one of the questions was, why did you marry this woman? All right. And one of the most popular answers they received was, because she liked me. Let me repeat that. One of the most popular answers to the question of why did you marry this woman is because she liked me. And what that is trying to convey is that men are so used to being in a position that they have to pursue, show the interest. Some people are even trying to tell men to chase, which I don't tell men to do that. I don't encourage that. But there are people saying, chase the woman, jump through all the hoops, show her you love her, right? But in that process, what's happening is those men are not receiving reciprocation. They're not being shown that interest and desire as much as some may think. And so then what happens is when a woman comes along who's willing to give that in return, who's willing to express that interest and desire, who's willing to even take an interest in what that man needs. I was just talking on social media the other day, having a chat about how powerful it is for a woman to ask a man, what makes you happy? What would you need from me? How can I pour into you? Y'all don't realize that's not a question a lot of women ask. So it's so powerful when a woman is willing to express desire and interest and take a reciprocal approach to this relationship rather than a sit back and wait, you got to show me everything. I understand why you're guarded. I understand why you may be afraid to express that interest, but I want to encourage you that there is a better approach, and that better approach is being open and honest. That better approach is healing from your past experiences and trauma and allowing yourself to be more vulnerable in your process of dating and trying to build a relationship, because that's how you will expose who's serious. That's how you will strengthen the relationship that it can go somewhere. That's how you can discover who is truly the man God has for you. Which, quick plug, get the book. Get the book, The Man God Has For You. Click the link in the description or in the comment section. You know, I didn't plan on plugging it. It just happened naturally in the flow of this video. But get the book. Women are loving it. It has like over 4,000 reviews on Amazon. So I'm telling you, you're going to find it very, very helpful. But anyways, yes, show interest. So bottom line is, this is why men lose interest when you show interest yourself. But do not be blinded by that. Do not be discouraged by that, because the right man will love your expression of interest, desire, and willingness to get in tune with him and his needs as well. So I really hope and pray this video was helpful to you. Again, leave your comments below. If you've had this experience before, leave me your feedback. As always, like the video, share it, subscribe to this channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Let's break this whole thing down. And I want to say right now from the jump, you need to watch this till the very end, because I have an important message that I have to explain to you in regards to this whole intimidation dynamic. All right. So now, yes, are there some men who are intimidated by women? This does exist. You know, there are a lot of men who are not walking in their masculine energy, who have not found themselves, found their purpose. And when that's the case, it can be very easy to become intimidated. But again, I want to give you some very specific things to understand why this intimidation is happening. But we're going to be looking at this from two different angles. Because again, there's so much more to this intimidation than just simply men are weak, or men don't know what they want, or men don't know how to handle a strong woman. All right. So let's get to number one. The first reason why a man may be intimidated by you is because he knows you have better options. Plain and simple, some men who are not confident in who they are, who are not confident in what they bring to the table, are going to feel intimidated or anxious dealing with a woman who they know can do better than them, who they feel like all these men want, all these men are in your DMs or whatever the case may be, and that bothers him. He does not know how to feel secure amongst this kind of attention that you get, which is why, yes, there are some men out there who prefer to find a woman who doesn't get too much attention. They feel safer there. It's easier. Now, listen, this isn't something that you can do anything about. The fact that you have better options than him, all right, and that's better options in the way that he perceives it. Because sometimes, and this happens to both men and women, they don't understand the value that you see in them. Now, in some cases, you flat out have better options and you flat out are dating down. And you're dealing with someone you probably shouldn't be dealing with. So naturally, if you do date down, you can almost expect that some level of intimidation is going to creep in or insecurity is going to keep in, because the reality is that, yes, you could be doing a lot better. But other times, it is a matter of insecurity within them that you can't really fix, because they have to be able to see themselves in the light that you see them. It's almost like when you see potential in a man, but he doesn't even see that own potential in himself. There's going to be a disconnect, all right? Not that you should be dating potential, but we'll talk about that in a whole other video. But the point is that, yes, him knowing you can do better, him knowing you have better options can intimidate him and can cause that man to self-sabotage, run away, become very toxic, even become very controlling and demeaning, because now he's trying to bring you down to a level where he feels like he can now control you because he basically devalued you and now lifted him up in the process, all right? Which is why some men will become very verbally abusive, talk down to you, tell you ain't nothing, all this stuff, because he's trying to make himself feel better. But bottom line is, yes, you having better options is a reason why some men are intimidated by you. The second thing that we can talk about as far as men being intimidated by you is that you're much more accomplished than him. So again, there are a lot of women who are finding success in the workplace, all right? There are a lot more women starting their own businesses. There are a lot more women getting educated. And because of this, there are going to be a lot of scenarios where the woman is more accomplished than the man. And so once again, it kind of all feeds into number one about him feeling like you have better options, or that you actually do have better options. When you're more accomplished, that can be a hit to his ego, because he has not accomplished enough in his life, or he has accomplished nothing in his life, all right? And so again, when the issue is your accomplishments, and if you notice, I'm naming things first that you really have no control over. Like, I'm not going to tell you to not be accomplished to make him feel better, all right? There's something else that you could do. We'll talk about that at the end. But you just simply having graduated, having your own business, having achieved so many different things, if that's what you've done, that's what you've done. All right. And a man has to be willing to see past that in regards to not allowing that to affect him, his mindset, and his understanding of his place in your life. All right. There is some self-work that needs to be done in order for him to handle that. Now, let me just also make clear, there are tons of men who don't get intimidated just because you have plenty of options. There are tons of men who don't get intimidated by you being more accomplished. I just want to repeat that in case some of y'all think none of these men can handle this. But no, there are plenty out there. But yes, there are a segment of men that exist that these things will apply to. And again, this isn't something that you can do. I want you to be mindful of it to understand the whole dynamic, but you're accomplished, you're accomplished. It is what it is. You know, you don't have to dumb down your accomplishments, so to speak. But again, keep watching, because I am going to tell you what you can and should do. All right. A third reason why a man may be intimidated by you is you make more money. Now, listen, the discussion of money is it's a sore spot for a lot of guys, because the reality is that society promotes and society says that to a lot of men, you're not worth much if you're not successful, or if you're not financially stable. You know, and I'll be one to admit that I talk to men, or I tell men, you need to find financial stability. Not that I want to say they're not worthy, so to speak. In some ways, yes. In some ways, not worthy in the sense of everyone's worthy of love. Everyone should be treated fairly, all these things. But when we're talking about being in a committed relationship, a committed romantic relationship, there is a level of qualifications that we have to meet. There is a standard we have to meet. And so, yes, you may not be at that standard or level yet, so you got work to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But getting back to the main point, yes, having more money can be a sore spot for a lot of men. But also, let me say this, a lot of times, it's not simply the fact that you have the more money. It's the PTSD they have from the last woman they dealt with who made more money than them. Now, again, I'll break it down deeper when I get into that main point later on in the video, but essentially a lot of women, just to kind of give a sneak preview, a lot of women who make that, they know they make more money than that man, don't realize how they talk down to that man. Don't realize how they emasculate that man. Don't realize how they use that to try to control and run things with that man. And that becomes the problem, not the money itself, because there are tons of men out there who would love to join forces with a woman who either makes good money or even makes more money than them. There's a lot of men out there who would have no problem leeching off of you. So trust and believe, the money itself is usually not the issue, all right? But there are men that, yes, the money itself will cause them to start acting funny. They'll start projecting onto you these issues. They'll start being very guarded or on edge because they think you're looking at them a certain kind of way because they don't make as much as you, that they can't live the lifestyle that you live, or they cannot provide you with the lifestyle you currently live. And so now they feel less than. So that does happen. That is an issue. But again, if you're making a lot of money, I'm not going to tell you to give your money away just so you can make a man feel comfortable, all right? That's not the key. But I will tell you what the key is soon. So now let's get to the next one. Now, the last thing before we get into kind of the flip side of why this intimidation is happening is you don't tolerate nonsense. All right. The bottom line is you come across as a no nonsense, I ain't taking nobody's crap type of woman. And that vibe, that energy can be intimidating. It can be like, all right, I don't have any room for error here. I gotta come correct. It's like going to a job interview and you feel like, man, if I don't nail this, I'm not getting this job. And that can get intimidating because you're like, it makes you more on edge, more worried about all the small details rather than just relaxing and being yourself. And so that can happen with a lot of men because they feel like, okay, I really want to make this work, but she looks like she has a short leash, or she doesn't tolerate much. And so, some men may not even try to take that interview, so to speak. They may not even try to walk into your space because, you know what? That seems like I can't handle those standards, those expectations, so on and so forth. So yes, you exuding a woman who doesn't take anyone's crap, again, is going to be intimidating to a lot of men. But let's flip this. Let's get to the other side. Now listen, if you've been agreeing this whole time, all right, don't start getting mad and salty now that I'm going to explain to you the other side of this. I want you to be just as open-minded. I want you to consider what I'm telling you because I'm trying to help you. All right. Let me make this very clear. I'm not trying to blame you because I notice whenever I point out things about the woman and what she could be doing differently, some of y'all take it as I'm blaming the women. No, I'm trying to help correct an issue. I'm trying to help you see better success in a certain area. And I'm explaining to you why this happens. And I'm trying to give you perspective, a well-rounded perspective, so that you understand this from as much angles as possible so that, again, you can achieve success. So now let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to mention, you look mean. Bottom line, you look difficult, you're walking around, you're mean mugging people. If you don't know what mean mugging means, it means you got like a frown on your face, you look hard, or some people would call it resting B face. I don't want to say the word, but it's the B-I-T, you know what, face. And yes, that negative energy you're exuding, it's not even about intimidation. And that's the thing that we're going to be really highlighting here. It's not about intimidation with what I'm about to lay out for you. It's about you come off too negative. And many of you hide behind, oh, they're intimidated because I'm successful. They're intimidated because I have money. They're intimidated because of all these things. No, check your attitude. Check your energy. Check the fact that how mean you're looking. Now, I'm not saying you got to walk around 24/7 with a big old smile on your face looking like you in the circus. All right, that's not what I'm trying to imply, but at the very least, you got to get to a place where you're relaxed, where you're at peace from within, which is good for you first and foremost, and let that energy shine through you. Let that positivity come out of you. That whole looking mean, it can be fixed. That is correctable. Many of us don't realize how we're coming across. I've had people come to me or actually DM me who said, I saw you in the gym, but I didn't want to approach you because you look mean as hell. And so I can't say, oh, well, no, you're just intimidated by a confident man. No, I got to check myself. You know what? Maybe I am looking a little unapproachable in person. I need to be more mindful of that. So be mindful. Are you looking mean? Because that can be the real problem that you're facing. So now the next thing I'm going to mention, and I kind of just already said it, but I'll reiterate it or repeat it and just emphasize it some more, is you give off too much masculine energy, you have a bad attitude. Bottom line. So whether it's the way that you look mean, whether it's when you speak to people, your energy is attacking them, your spirit. Whether you want to look at energy, spirit, same thing to me. Bottom line is that's coming off of your body in a way that is a deterrent. It is a hindrance to people being able to vibe with you, people being able to want to get to know you. It pushes men away. And so again, a lot of times, and this is especially true for the successful woman, the woman who has money, things of that nature, many times you are operating in the workforce where there's a lot of masculine energy being carried. There's a lot of masculine energy being engaged in, all right? And now when you come home or when you enter into engagement with men randomly, you're not turning that switch off. And that hard masculine energy becomes a problem. And so, as I mentioned with the other point, a lot of women hide behind, I'm successful, I'm strong, I'm this, but you don't realize you're intolerable to some people. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I promise you, but for those of you who are fighting this, consider some of you know women who are essentially going through the same thing, saying men are intimidated, but you don't even like being around that woman. Some of your own mothers fit the description, and you don't want to be bothered with her. Does it mean you're intimidated by your friends? Or does it mean you're intimidated by your mother? No. It means that hard, that negative energy, those things that they're not always mindful of. Because if you ask them, they'll probably say, I'm not negative. I'm not too hard. There's nothing wrong with me. But there is. There absolutely is. And so again, we got to be careful of hiding behind the positive labels of strong woman, successful woman, all these things, and ignoring the bad energy. Now, if you are giving off positive energy, if you're walking in your feminine energy, and I do believe in women tapping into their feminine energy, all right, though some may disagree, I am a huge proponent of it, and I will always push it. If you're doing those things, I'm pretty much certain you're going to see a huge difference. Now, does that mean there won't be some men still intimidated? Of course not. There are some men who, as I mentioned in the very beginning, are simply intimidated by the fact that you have money, success, that you don't tolerate nonsense, things of that nature. But a lot of men, this is what it really boils down to. And so this is the point that I said I had to tell you about. It's not about intimidation, it's that they don't want to deal with you. All right. And again, I say this with love. I don't say this to hurt you, to piss you off or anything like that. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to keep it as real with you as possible. All right. They do not want to deal with it, especially when we talk about strong masculine men. Because I've heard a lot of women say, well, it'll take a strong man to be with a strong woman. No, a strong man will not tolerate that. A strong man has, or a masculine man, or a successful man, or a great man, he has options. So why would he want to deal with someone who's coming across as difficult? Why would he want to deal with someone who does not want to check her negative energy or the fact that she's coming across in a very negative way? Like, why is he going to choose that? He's not. He's not. And when he doesn't choose it, it's not because he's not strong himself. It's because he's smart. Again, no disrespect, but he understands that there is no success to be found in that dynamic if someone is going to be carrying around negative energy and hiding behind positive labels to deflect the fact that they're carrying this kind of negative energy. So I know it's very easy and simple to simply say or write it off as men are intimidated. And again, I will repeat one more time. There are men who are intimidated. But what I want you to do, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and I want you to check your energy. I want you to check your spirit. I want you to be honest with yourself about how you're coming across. I want you to be honest with yourself about, are you being a difficult person that, hell, even other women don't like being around? Like, what's really going on? Let's get to the root of the issue and not just default to people are intimidated, all right? Because there is a role that we play in changing that dynamic, and we should do the best that we can. Some things not in our control, or some things we should not have to adjust and change. However, the things I mentioned to you are things to look at, are things to change, all right? Are things to improve in your life. And please understand this. Me telling you to make these adjustments isn't simply about getting a man or making men less intimidated or less unwilling to deal with you. It's about you. Your quality of life will increase when you make these changes. You will start to see more opportunities open up for you when you make these changes. Women, kids, whoever, everyone's going to be more drawn to you and enjoy being in your presence when you make these changes. But again, you will be happier. And so now that same mean face, that same resting bee face we talked about earlier, it will naturally start to shift. You will find yourself naturally smiling. Because I always tell people, when you are happy from within, smiling becomes natural. It just happens. You don't even have to try. You just give off a pleasant vibe. So again, I'm giving you all of this to help you first. But yes, the byproduct is you will see even greater success in all areas of your life, as well as with men. Topic that comes up a lot, and to be honest with you, a lot of women ask me this. They really question, is this the only motivation for men? Is this all they're concerned about? Or why are men so fixated on sex? Now, let me make it very clear. Men do not only want sex. Men do want sex, all right, in a general sense, all right? Most people do at some point. But is that all they want? No. But let me go deeper into what you're seeing and why it looks like men only want sex. First, let me start with this reality. There are a lot of men, whether you realize it or not, who embrace abstinence in their life. Some of you may be gasping right now saying, no, that can't be real. No, it's very real. There are a lot of men who embrace abstinence or even understand the power of abstinence. However, men are not allowed to feel comfortable announcing or speaking on that because unfortunately, a lot of women don't believe them, or a lot of women question their sexuality. They get some kind of backlash, or even other guys looking down at them, clowning them, you know what I'm saying, not respecting their position, not respecting their path, and so they keep quiet about it. So you don't hear men speaking on it much out loud into the general public, but a lot more than you realize are abstinent or are willing to embrace abstinence or willing to embrace waiting on sex. However, it's with the right woman for some of those guys. Some guys in general are going to do it, and some guys, it's going to take the right woman for them to be willing to embrace that. But again, that's not something they are announcing. Also, the other issue to consider when we talk about do men only want sex, or why does it seem like men only want sex, is that here's what happens in a lot of situations. There are some scenarios where a man meets a woman, really thinks there's some kind of potential here, really thinks, okay, we can become something serious. And their focus with her is not sex initially. Again, doesn't mean they wouldn't want to have it, doesn't mean they wouldn't enjoy getting it, but they're not focused on that. However, somewhere in the interaction or trying to get to know her, that man may determine she's not what I thought. And I no longer see a future with her. I no longer desire anything more serious. Now, the unfortunate reality at that point for a lot of men, not all men, is that even if he determines he no longer wants you as something serious, he will still want the consolation prize of getting sex from you. All right? And so now his focus becomes sex. And so now to the woman in that scenario, you may assume or think, this is all he ever wanted. This is all he was ever coming after me for. But in reality, no. He actually wanted more at one point, but he pivoted and now he only wants the sex. Now, I am not saying that to validate it or make it okay or whatever. I'm explaining to you what's actually happening and why or how this contributes to the perception that men only want sex when that is not the case. The reality is that a lot of men desire support, love, feminine energy, female companionship, someone they can talk to. They do want these other things, but they don't want it with every woman, all right? And so if a man now meets 10 women tomorrow, as I say in other videos, you can meet 100 people tomorrow, 99 of them ain't for you. And so with that 99, some men will still try to entertain enjoying her in other ways, in sexual ways, even though he no longer sees a future with her. And so it just adds to the perception that's all the man wants. But no, he desires more. And I would also argue that as the man gets older, or as he's dealt with more and more women, his focus of sex diminishes. All right, he will still have a desire for it in general, but his focus on it, him being all about that and chasing after it, no, he wants stability. He wants that one person he can turn to. So I say all this to say, don't get discouraged or don't be disillusioned by the men that you've experienced who seem to be fixated on sex. They don't represent the reality of what's going on out there, and they don't represent what the man who's truly for you is going to be focused on. Now, do not confuse that with me saying he's not going to still care about sex, that sex won't still be important to him in the overall relationship. However, his willingness to look past that, at least initially, his willingness to focus on other things, his willingness to focus on the substance of the relationship is going to be there. And for a lot of men, they're not complaining about can't find a woman to sleep with. A lot of men are complaining about can't find a woman to build with, can't find a woman they can truly trust, can't find a woman they can really embrace and truly love, because that's what they really desire, but that is what is harder to find. And so they default to just going after the sex and to sometimes numb the pain, sometimes distract them, sometimes make themselves feel better about themselves, but it doesn't really speak to what they truly desire. So ultimately, do men only want sex? No. A lot of men, all men, there's more to it than that, but I understand why it looks like that. But don't get caught up in that lie. It's not what you think it is. Mostly everyone wants a real relationship, wants love, wants someone they can share life with. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Listen, you deserve a man who loves you, respects you, and cherishes you. Do not settle for less. So please understand, if he does any of the things I'm going to mention in this video, it is time to let him go.